Let's get this webinar started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on preventing and avoiding costly downtime from the data center to the end user. First of all, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us today. I know that a lot of you have a busy schedule, and we're extra grateful for you to choose to spend it with us. My name is Sébastien Tellier, Director of Channel Programs at Martello. For those of you in our partner community, you may already know me from my marketing days at Martello, or we may have crossed paths at the show or at an event. I also have the pleasure to be joined today by my colleague Paul Kudzia, Regional Sales Executive at Martello. Before we move on, I'd like to ask our attendees about their current services, since this is one of the topics we're going to cover. You should see a poll coming up on the screen in a few moments. So, of all the services that you use today, which is the most critical service or application that you could not do business without? Is it your CRM, your online store, is it Office 365, your phone system, is it Google Apps? We'd like to know your number one critical service. While you give it some thought, I'll go over the agenda. After a brief introduction, the mandatory introduction of Martello, we're going to discuss some of the challenges that many of you face around downtime and how real-time service delivery is being affected. Paul will then discuss how to calculate the cost of downtime and present tools you can use to improve availability and reduce outages in your business. We will close out today's webinar by discussing the impact of downtime on user experience and conclude with a short Q&A. I'll close the poll to move on, and we'll come back to those answers later on the presentation. If you're with us today, I suspect you're already familiar with Martello, or at least you're familiar with one of our lines of business. But for those of you who are new to our webinar track and haven't seen any of our presentations in the past, here's a quick introduction. Martello was founded in 2009 and is based out of Ottawa in Canada, with offices in Montreal, Paris, Amsterdam, and the United States. We offer products and solutions designed to give service providers and enterprises confidence in the performance of the real-time applications and services that are critical to their business. Our solutions, deployed worldwide in a variety of cloud and enterprise networks, provide top-to-bottom visibility and control over real-time services. With increasingly complex systems sustaining mission-critical services, IT departments are hard at work designing business continuity strategies to avoid the unpleasant surprise of downtime and outages. Here, we will be digging into ways of fighting the root cause of downtime and how you can avoid it to ensure business continuity. As network complexity increases, downtime can seem inevitable. Each year, companies collectively lose $26.5 billion in revenue due to IT downtime, whether planned or unplanned. For Fortune 100 companies who experience critical application failures, the costs can hit a staggering $1 million in losses for each hour of downtime. Now, network downtime can have a tremendous impact on your business. The longer you go without access to your data and business systems, the greater the financial implications are. There are various causes to network failure and downtime, as we've showcased last year in our outages quiz. You can find it on Facebook or LinkedIn. There are often some callbacks to it. An update gone wrong, an outdated license, or simply a big thunderstorm. There are thousands of reasons why an outage for a service or your network can occur. But most outages are predictable to a certain degree, even though you can't plan for everything. Some events will creep up on you. That being said, in the end, 51% of outages are avoidable. And for the other 49%, well, there are several ways to help you limit their impact and reduce the time they prevent your teams from being productive or your clients from buying your products. Now, from the results of the poll earlier, we saw that there is a variety. Over 40% of the attendees answered that the critical services they couldn't do without was, of course, voice and video conferencing. Another 30% was around Office 365 or Google Apps. I suspect in there's also Hangouts or Teams. So we see that voice and real time are critical solutions. So any interruption in these services can lead to dire effects on your bottom line. And we're going to see just how much of it later in the presentation. While some situations may be out of your control, you can still take steps to minimize the effects downtime has on your business. By establishing a proactive approach to help minimize the effects of downtime, you'll not only be able to save revenue, but provide a positive user experience for your entire business, both your staff and your clients. Start off by creating a business continuity plan. This should outline the different fail-safe processes, contingencies, and alternate resources at your disposal to help keep your business operational during an outage. More than just a backup plan, a business continuity strategy will keep your business operating when your network experiences planned or unplanned downtime. This plan should contain details of exactly what to do, who to call, and the next steps to take for each of your mission-critical services. The more detailed the plan, the better chances your business has to remain operational and reachable. Next, establish a disaster recovery plan. A bit of a more pessimistic version of the business continuity plan. Disaster recovery is set in motion when a section of your business becomes entirely unresponsive. Think floods, earthquakes, locusts, a nuclear reactor meltdown just next door. This is where you can and should plan for the worst. From a network and services standpoint, however, this means ensuring that the company data is backed up with an offsite resources on a regular basis and automatically if possible. Now let's not kid ourselves. If you need to use this plan, you're not looking for simple continuity anymore. You're looking at outright recovery after an unsurmountable and real interruption. This means hosting backup data and resources in an offsite data center, a colo center, a private or public cloud, wherever everything is safely stored and easily recoverable. And finally, it's great to have a plan in place, but you need to ensure that it'll work when placed in a real-world scenario. The best way to do it is to test it regularly to reveal any issues that need troubleshooting before you're in a situation where you need to deploy your strategy. Now that we've discussed what downtime is and what we can do to minimize it, I'd like to introduce my colleague Paul Schitzia from our headquarters in Ottawa, Ontario. Paul works with our clients and partners worldwide and is one of our experts for IT operations best practices. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Sebastian. Good morning all from sunny Silicon Valley in Canada, Ontario. As Sebastian mentioned, I'm responsible for regional sales at Martello. I have the pleasure of being one of the first points of contact when discussing our software offerings. I don't think there's a sector that I haven't spoken to, whether it's big oil or gaming to various levels of government, healthcare, financial sector, public, private. As I said, there really isn't a sector we haven't touched. When speaking to our customers, we understand that no two clients are exactly the same. In today's ever-changing environment, we find that clients have different tools based on size and complexity of their infrastructure. That being said, they do, however, have similar concerns when it comes to downtime. The financial impact that downtime has on a business can add up pretty fast, no matter what sector you are in. The cost of downtime can be measured. The reality is that impact to a business for a single hour of downtime can be very costly, and business owners know this, so should you. When you consider the loss of productivity, the loss of revenue, and additional costs to recover from the outage, those numbers add up quickly and can impact the bottom line of any business. Not to mention the intangible costs to the brand, to the stock price or value. Some numbers here that I find kind of interesting that you might find surprising. The average cost of a single hour of unplanned downtime has risen 25 to 30% since 2008. And in 2019, an enterprise server down worldwide for a single hour cost an organization over $100,000. We have designed a tool to help you determine what cost of downtime is for your business. How it works is fairly simple. You enter the number of employees you have in your business, then annual revenue. Select the average employee hourly wage and the number of IT staff you employ. Lastly, your hours of operation and the average daily sales. The calculator will then add up the cost to your business and you have the numbers with regards to what it looks like when you're down. Due to these costs, you need to know where the problem is before it impacts the users. You need to leverage every investment made within your organization. That means making sure that all of your tools are clearly visible, that you leverage those tools efficiently and seamlessly, and that you are communicating in real time to the correct people to prevent outages before they occur. Service level agreements or SLAs are an important way to ensure that you have enough uptime to meet your business needs. SLA reporting is a proactive way to detect performance degradation. SLAs hold your service providers accountable to the guaranteed availability. So how do you ditch downtime and put the right tools in place? Do you need to displace some of your existing tools? Do you need to purchase another? The reality is you may already have all the tools you need. Organizations are growing and so do their tool chests. Whether through acquisitions or internal politics, that tool chest can become overwhelming and difficult to manage. Correlation and prioritization needs to be streamlined. Using Martello IQ allows you to normalize alerts from all of your monitoring tools, both on-premise and in the cloud. Martello IQ then correlates and organizes those alerts into actionable, easy to prioritize incidents, automatically pushed to your service management tool. Relevant and timely alarms are a key to managing network performance successfully. From what I see today, network administrators often are overwhelmed by alarms. Either they receive too many alerts or they get notified of ones that aren't relevant to them, which can often result in alert fatigue. By prioritizing and reducing these alarms, you allow the most relevant issues to be clearly visible. A proactive approach to relevant issues allows you to detect network issues before they impact the business. This approach reduces stress on the IT staff, reduces the impact to your end user experience, and reduces your overall downtime. Martello IQ allows you to streamline alert handling workflows between IT operations and IT service management, achieving quicker incident resolution time. By reducing and consolidating alerts into a single platform, you will make your alerts more effective. Notifying the correct team members of alerts is also critical when looking to prevent downtime. As teams grow, it can be a challenge to ensure that everyone on the team has the right access to the correct alerts in order to act on them. By organizing your alerts onto dashboards in Martello IQ, you can be sure the right users are receiving the most relevant notifications and you are making the most of your alerts. As businesses grow and adapt to change in today's new environment, with a mixture of cloud and on-prem solutions, visibility and control to your digital monitoring experience become more important and challenging for business owners. In today's hybrid environment, it is that much more important to proactively resolve issues before the end user experience is impacted. So how do you achieve this desired state? And what truly is Martello IQ? Martello IQ is actually the four things that you see above. It is dashboarding, service monitoring, automated alert management, and the unification. IQ allows you to cut through the alert noise by removing duplicate alerts, implementing smarter notifications, and to facilitate collaboration between teams. First, the ability to organize data in a flexible way to create customized dashboards. Every organization has different needs, different offices, different services, different skill sets. There are lots of different ways that you can structure this data based on what makes sense to you or your clients, and share that data when and where it makes sense. This is especially useful in answering calls to your CEO when he asks, why they got dropped during that investor call. Second, we don't want users to try and manually map an IT component. When trying to troubleshoot a problem, you need to have all the information at your fingertips. On the one end, to understand the business impact, and on the other, to resolve the problem as fast as possible. Organizations need to be able to trace to its source. Is it an application problem? Is it a network switching dropping session? This allows you to measure service availability against SLAs and prioritize interventions. Third, and tied to the last point, some companies struggle with millions of unique alerts every day. And this may sound like an extreme situation, but even thousands of alerts a day can be a very difficult task to manage. It may lead to alert fatigue, as I suggested earlier, especially if you don't have an automated approach to handling those alerts. We provide a number of ways to create workflows between the different service management flows so that any number of alerts that may be related to a single problem can be correlated and only shows you a single incident. This allows you to take quick, decisive action to maximize impact and accelerate time remediation. Finally, this is all made possible by providing a unification strategy to IT professionals. Historically, you might need to go to multiple stakeholders or use several tools, and therefore several screens and windows to stitch all that information together. Martello ingests that different data flows and monitoring systems. Public cloud provides information together. Martello ingests that different data flows from monitoring systems, public cloud, providers, and service management tools, and puts the issue right in front of you so you can have a bird's eye view of everything you need to guarantee peak digital experience to your users. I'd like to pass it back to Sebastian to go over the ways that you can reduce outages and prevent downtime.
Thanks, Paul. As Paul mentioned, seeing all your information in one place is a good way of identifying where you may see issues and where you can expect to see problems that will lead to outages. But performance issues usually don't happen just like that. There's a buildup. You won't hear it, but the packets will take longer to reach your destination. A packet will be dropped here and there. Then suddenly, one day, the connection becomes so deteriorated that you start sounding like a robot. And then eventually, you start losing sessions, and the connection starts being unavailable altogether. Since there are signs, you can often predict looming interruptions. If you know what you're looking for, of course. There are ways to monitor and measure degradations on the network and in the infrastructure. and not simply take the service provider's word for it that the service should be running. Reality is that it may be running, I can't access it. You need to send actual data packets to simulate users using the service. See, a session such as a voice call, and we saw earlier that voice was important to most people on this call, probably everyone. A voice call doesn't simply go from your handset to another. The data goes through dozens of devices in your network, through the ISP, into the service's infrastructure, and through the same steps onto its destination and back and forth. A lot can happen between hello and how are you. That's where synthetic transaction testing can be useful. The synthetic call simulates the action of placing one or multiple calls, sending data through the same hoops as the real thing. By automating those calls and measuring jitter, loss, delay, and a number of other metrics on each of those calls, you can start identifying trends, as we see on the screen, and picking up where your service or application is at risk. By setting thresholds, you can get alerts telling you that your user experience is about to be affected, or is currently being affected, or that you're at risk of seeing one of your mission-critical services go offline. Of course, the best defense against outages is a well-planned and organized IT and network infrastructure. Before a business looks to migrate their applications and services to the cloud, there are a few steps it can take to make sure that its network is fit for the increased load. What I'm showing you on screen at the moment is a demo of UC Score, a free solution offered by Martello to measure the fitness of your network environment or your client's network environment. In more technical terms, we would call it a site qualification tool. Using your browser at home or at the office, UC Score will simulate calls between your network and Martello servers and give you a quality score specifically tailored around your user experience with unified communication services, such as voice and video. If you score high, you're likely ready to make the move. If you score low, then I recommend you look at improving your network before switching to cloud services. Better be prepared and avoid a poor voice quality or unavailable services due to saturation. Organizations should integrate end user monitoring into their overall IT monitoring strategy. While it's important to understand how an application is performing from the perspective of its code and how infrastructure components affect it, it's equally important to closely monitor how application performance impacts the end user experience in real life. In Gartner's latest market guide on digital experience monitoring, or DEM for short, it was reported that by 2023, 60% of digital business initiatives would require infrastructure and operation departments to report on user digital experience. That's up 15% from today. Compared to just a decade ago, when I&O leaders rarely had to think about their employees' digital experience when making decisions, this has become a new way to evaluate the IT success and failures of a business. This shift in decision-making brings new challenges for IT departments as they attempt to effectively manage digital applications. The need for remote work has employees moving outside of the traditional infrastructure and using voice, video, collab, and VPN to stay connected. This type of real-time traffic is tightly intertwined with underlying network performance, and more importantly, with business continuity. Should these services go out, or even if they were to perform poorly, the financial consequences could be dire. How dire? Make sure to find out on our downtime calculator as presented by Paul earlier on the presentation. But what does digital experience monitoring mean in business terms? Today's networks are much more evolved and complicated when compared to what they were only a few years ago. End users rely on various web and cloud-based applications that are layered on top of the standard corporate network. That, in turn, becomes a nightmare for IT professionals when a user complains that their Office 365 is running slow. Naturally, troubleshooting internal equipment is much easier than having to troubleshoot applications that are not part of the immediate infrastructure. You can't go in and unplug and plug it in again. These different appliances or services that are outside of your network, they can be in a public cloud or in a service provider's environment. You cannot reach them easily. End users have come to expect all applications and digital services to be lightning fast, reliable, and available at all times, regardless of the computing device being used and their physical location. This includes applications and other digital products that are outside the control of the standard corporate IT group. To manage today's distributed hybrid IT ecosystems, digital experience monitoring services and tools are being deployed to provide comprehensive visibility across modern application architectures. Some of these new monitoring tools enable holistic network visibility and remediation, allowing organizations to proactively pinpoint and address performance issues from the cloud to the edge. Digital experience monitoring is the future that we're driving towards to disrupt the industry by teaming elements of our technology offering into a single integrated solution with the user experience in mind. We hope you enjoyed this presentation and that the different topics covered today give you a better view of what's required to minimize downtime and outages and what you can do today to assess their impacts on your business. And now we have a few minutes left to take a few questions if there are any. First question here. So remote work has changed how business works. How do you handle someone complaining about poor performance, but it's still showing available? Right, so we touched on that a bit earlier when we were addressing the topic of the service provider saying, it's all green lights, everything is available, but someone can't reach it. Sometimes applications are showing healthy, but users are having trouble accessing it. It's a reality that we've all experienced. It's not that it's not available, just that it's not performing poorly, or there's something in the way that's blocking it. With companies being dependent on applications that are managed in the cloud, it's not enough to just say they're running. It's not good enough to say it's available, you should access it. It's not. Monitoring the performance of these real-time services and using synthetic transactions to measure the actual experience allows you to gather the right data and to take this data and go to your service provider or any provider that's providing you that technology and show them that it's either not currently available and therefore there is a breach of SLA, or that your service is not performing up to the standards that were promised. So you have the tools you need to hold the provider accountable. Or if you are the provider, all good, you can see the same and show that, no, your experience is actually good. Perhaps your router is the problem. So you have this access to data using synthetic transactions to make sure that everything is up and running. If it's not, you have the tools to ensure that it becomes up to the standards. I have a second question here.
Yeah, we are getting so many alerts that it's taking too long to address issues and resulting in more downtime to get to the root cause. How can integrating data from the monitoring tools help create efficiency on my IT team? That's actually a really good question. This is not a unique scenario for many. Being able to normalize and aggregate data into one source allows you very quickly to sort through the alerts. IQ is based on Elasticsearch backend and allows you to, like in the lightning process, really quickly search through these alerts that are generated sometimes by multiple systems. One specific issue, but from multiple systems. So what you're able to do is you're able to combine those alerts, even if they come from multiple systems, create one ticket. Once that issue is resolved, IQ can go back to the systems that generate the tickets and close them off. So in that example, you went from having multiple people being alerted by multiple systems down to a single ticket being created. And once that ticket is closed, so are all the associated alerts that stem from those systems were generated. That's a very simple kind of answer to that question, but that's what we're able to do. We reduce the touch points and resolve the issues, even if it's multiple systems, notifying you of them through a couple of quick actions, while your whole team is able to visibly see that you're tending to those alerts. Hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you, Paul. We have a third question, and I believe it comes probably from our Martello fan base. The question is, does IQ integrate with MPA, our Martello Performance Analytics, in order to get a single pane of glass solution? Quick answer is yes. Two of our solutions, IQ plus MPA, do integrate together to provide all the value add that Paul covered a bit earlier. We can reach out also to cover that more in depth. We hope you enjoyed our presentation. If you have any other questions, please feel free to write at info@martellotech.com and we'll be happy to answer them. Thanks again for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Paul.